Hi friends, this is Mara again with another Childhood Hours video. Today, we're going to New Zealand, and I want to start with something you'll see at almost every primary school in this country. Children walking into school, going to assembly, running across the playground. With no shoes on, not because they forgot them at home, but because that's what kids do in New Zealand. And that's only the start. Here you'll find a 5-year-old halfway up a tree at recess. A 7-year-old riding the city bus alone. A 10-year-old surfing waves their American cousins wouldn't be allowed near. This country has a reputation for raising tough, capable, independent kids. And there is a reason for that. New Zealand, or, in the language of its first people, Aotearoa, the land of the long white cloud. 2 islands, 5 million people, more sheep than humans by a factor of 5. Sitting alone in the South Pacific, 1,000 miles from anywhere. And yet this small country has built a childhood philosophy that the rest of the world has started to copy. The Maori people have lived in Aotearoa for around 700 years, and at the center of their understanding of childhood is one word: whānau. Whānau means family, but not just the people you live with. It means your extended family. Your aunties, your cousins, your grandparents, the community that owns a piece of who you become. When New Zealand designed its early childhood curriculum in 1996, it did something no other country had done. It wove Māori and European thinking into one bicultural framework. And the heart of that framework is whānau. The story of a New Zealand childhood often begins with a knock at the door. It's a plunket nurse. New Zealand has had a free, nationwide service that visits every new family with a baby for over 100 years. They check on the baby, they check on the parents, they show up at the hardest moment of a young family's life, and they offer help. It's not a luxury, it's a baseline. And from the very beginning, New Zealand babies are taken outside. In rain, in wind, in what other countries would call bad weather, which Kiwis just call weather. There's a saying here: there's no such thing as bad weather, only the wrong clothes. And it starts in infancy. If you've watched our Finland episode, this will sound familiar. Both countries trust the weather. Both countries trust the child. Early childhood education in New Zealand is shaped by a single, beautiful metaphor. The curriculum is called Te Whāriki. It means the woven mat. In Maori tradition, a whāriki is a flax mat woven by hand. Strong, flexible, strands working together. The idea is that a child's learning isn't a ladder you climb. It is a mat woven from many strands at once. Family, belonging, well-being, communication, exploration. You don't stack them, you weave them from the beginning. So what does that look like in practice? In Aotearoa, you'll find something called a bush kindergarten. Children 3, 4, 5 years old spend their entire school day outside. In native forest, in any weather. They climb, they build, they explore mud and water and rocks and sticks. The classroom is the bush itself. Other countries are starting to copy this model. New Zealand has been quietly running it for decades. In most countries, school starts on a fixed date. In New Zealand, it starts on your 5th birthday. If your 5th birthday is in March, you start in March. If it's in October, you start in October. Children begin school individually when they are ready, surrounded by a class that welcomes them, one by one. The school becomes their second whānau. And then there are the feet. In summer, in spring, in early autumn. New Zealand primary school children show up to school barefoot. Into the school office, to their desks, across asphalt and grass and gravel. Barefoot. It's not because their families can't afford shoes. It's a cultural choice that has lasted for generations. Kiwi parents believe children's feet are strong. The ground is a teacher. If you live in a country that requires shoes at every doorway, this might be the most surprising image of the whole episode. But it's not just bare feet, it's the playgrounds themselves. New Zealand playgrounds have a global reputation. They are tall, they are fast, They have real heights, real swings, real flying foxes, long zip lines that move at real speeds. Kids climb structures that in some other countries would not even be legal. And kids get hurt. Scraped knees, bruised elbows, sometimes a broken arm. But the philosophy here is firm. A child who never faces risk, never learns to handle it. So New Zealand parents let their children climb high. Fall sometimes, get up, climb again. In schools across the country, you'll find something woven into the curriculum that exists nowhere else in the world. It's called kapa haka, the performance of traditional Maori song, dance, and chant, including the haka itself. You've probably seen the haka in viral videos of the All Blacks, but long before any child plays a sport, they're learning it in school. Standing in rows, stomping in unison. Maori children, Pakeha children, the European New Zealanders, children from every background, together. Kapa haka isn't a performance for tourists. It's how this country teaches its children to belong to a place older than they are. And it's not just kapa haka. The Maori language, Te Reo Māori, is woven through New Zealand classrooms. School announcements, greetings, numbers, colors. Children learn it from age 5. 40 years ago, Te Reo Māori was nearly lost, actively suppressed for over a century. Today, every New Zealand child grows up knowing pieces of it. The language is alive again because the schools chose to keep it alive. This bicultural commitment is what makes New Zealand childhood genuinely unique on the world stage. By the time New Zealand kids are 8, 9, 10, they are walking into the actual wilderness. The Kiwi word for hiking is tramping. Families tramp together. Schools take children on multi-day tramps. Children carry their own packs. They learn to read weather, build shelter, cook food. For most New Zealand kids, the mountains and the bush aren't a vacation destination. They are the backyard. And then there's the marae. A marae is the traditional Maori meeting ground, a complex of carved wooden buildings, a sacred space that belongs to a tribe. New Zealand school children, including non-Maori children, visit them. Stay overnight, sleep on the floor of the whārenu, the meeting house, eat together, learn the protocols of welcome and respect. The child is taught, explicitly, that they've inherited a relationship with a people, with a place, with a history older than they are. And then, the ocean. New Zealand is an island nation. The sea is everywhere. And by age 7, children are joining junior surf life-saving programs. They learn to read currents. They learn to rescue. They paddle through waves their parents would think twice about. The Kiwi child grows up trusting the sea, not because it's safe, but because they have been taught to respect it. There is a phrase you hear constantly in New Zealand. 3 words. She'll be right. It's a kind of national shrug, a faith that things will work out, that you'll figure it out, that whatever broke can be fixed. This is not laziness. It is a deep cultural resistance to panic. Kiwi parents raise kids who believe, at a bone-deep level, that they can handle what comes. That a problem is just a thing to be solved. That fear is not a reason to stop. There is another phrase, number 8 wire. It comes from the gauge of fencing wire that historically every Kiwi farmer kept on hand. Whatever broke on the farm, you fixed it with number 8 wire and whatever else you could find. Today it's become a national identity, the belief a New Zealander can make anything work. Kiwi children grow up watching this. They are encouraged to build, to take things apart, to invent. The country that gave the world the jet boat and bungee jumping raises its kids to make things happen. But underneath all of this, the bush kindergartens, the bare feet, the marae, the haka, the trust in risk, there's one idea holding it all together. Whānau. A child raised in New Zealand is rarely raised by 2 parents alone. There are aunties, and auntie here often means chosen family, not blood. There are cousins, grandparents, school, whānau, sports, whānau. There is iwi, the tribe. Whānau is the idea that a child belongs to more people than just their parents. And those people belong to that child in return. So let's place New Zealand in our growing picture. Finland trusts the child. South Korea trusts the work. Brazil trusts the connection. Nigeria trusts the village. And New Zealand trusts, the land, 5 countries, 5 completely different answers to the same question. What does a child need most? And the answers are all right. There's a beautiful thing about how New Zealand raises children. It teaches them, early, repeatedly, that they belong somewhere, not in some abstract way, in a literal way. They belong to a marae, to a mountain, to a coast, to a family of cousins and aunties they could find on a map. In a world where so many adults feel rootless, New Zealand has been quietly producing children who know exactly where their feet stand. The Māori word tūrangawaewae translates literally as the place where one's feet stand. But it means more than that. It means the place where you have the right to stand, where you are recognized, where you are at home, where you can speak with confidence because the land knows you. And you know the land. A child raised with tūrangawaewae carries it for life. They can travel anywhere, and they always know where to come back to. Here's the question I want to leave you with. Did you have a place, growing up, that felt like your place? A backyard, a corner of a park, a stretch of woods, a beach, somewhere that just felt like you belonged? If this episode moved you, surprised you, or made you think differently about your childhood, that's exactly what this series is for. Subscribe so you don't miss our next stop. We've explored so much of the world, and we have so many more places to go. And the next one is going to surprise you. I'm Mara. See you next time. Bye, friends.